Car cloning is becoming a problem in South Africa, and today I'm going to discuss how, even in 2026, it still happens. Let's get into it. So, car cloning is essentially identity theft for vehicles. So, criminals find an illegal stolen car that they've imported to another country or they've stolen somewhere in another province, and they find a car that is exactly the same as that one, and they basically take the credentials and they map it onto the stolen car. So now the car travels around with the VIN number of another vehicle that is registered, but because the car is the exact same physical description, the authorities can't tell if it's stolen or not. So it oftentimes is very hard to track, especially if you're not looking out for it. This allows criminals to sell cloned cars on the market as legit cars because people are not aware of the different tactics that are used. And sometimes the person is not a criminal who bought the car and they resell it and they thought it was legit, and the cycle continues. So it makes it very hard to track these criminals. Now let's go into the cloning process. The first step they do is to identify the target. So obviously they cannot take a Mazda VIN number and put it onto a Toyota because that would be too easy to track. So if somebody wants to clone a Toyota car, they first look at the model of the car. Let's say we're talking about a Toyota Corolla. They find a target, maybe somebody in Umhlanga driving a Toyota Corolla, and they look at the color. And if everything matches the spec, then that's step one of what they do. The second thing is they go into their car. After finding the target, they copy the VIN number, because you can just go on the front of the car, take a picture, and then they take a picture of the number plate. They go into their car, they go into the engine number, they forge it, and they also falsify the documents of the disc, the license disc itself, and basically that allows them to falsify the car. And they also falsify the number plate itself. Sometimes it can have a different number plate, but usually they go through to all of the full steps and extent. So after they've done the VIN number and the license disc, they go into falsifying the documents. They forge everything and to make it look legit. And with leaks in the licensing department, sometimes they can also get legit documents or legit print from companies that they pay bribes from, and that is what causes a leak in the system. The fourth and final step of what they do is that they sell the car. So now most of the time it happens through private selling. So they sell to a private buyer, because obviously going through the legal channels like the official Toyota would be a challenge. So they would sell to a private seller on Gumtree or Facebook Marketplace to unsuspecting people. But advanced cloners, like the ones who get the paper straight from the licensing department, or people who are good with their words, they sell it directly to the used market flow. So they can sell it back to Toyota themselves, and Toyota can find themselves buying a stolen car and selling it to a person. So companies like View4You actually help with that process, and they are able to inspect the car and check for defaults. And companies like carVertical, they are also able to check for defaults. You can find the links down below so that they can help you. So what these companies do, View4You actually goes and inspects it for you physically, and then carVertical, you can put in the VIN number of that vehicle. It can show you the car accident history, who it belongs to, how many miles, if there's any reverse of mileages, and all of that stuff. So check that out. So now we'll go into the fallout. Who pays the price of this crime? So the law is very, very, very light on these criminals, and they don't really follow up properly. I'll give you a simple example. So what happens is that when a car is cloned, right, the traffic and licensing department doesn't know that it's cloned. So they take it that the person who the car is related to is that owner that they have on their system. So when the guy gets the car and is cloned and he has traffic fines and he doesn't pay it, he goes over the speed limit and he doesn't regard it. He might not be doing it intentionally. Maybe the person is just a bad driver and they like chaos and mayhem. What happens is that the owner, the original owner, gets the traffic fines, they get the violations, they get the parking tickets and everything that is related to that person. So essentially somebody is committing fraud with your identity, well, in this case street fraud, and you are paying the price. That is why I say the law does not do anything, because most of the times some people even get their licenses back and that car is scraped off or the person is arrested, but they're still ordered to pay those fines. So there is a big problem. Another person who gets bit is the unsuspecting buyer. When you buy a cloned vehicle, I'm not talking about the one who had the original car. I'm talking about the one who bought a vehicle that was stolen and cloned. If SAPS suspects it and they find out that it's true, they have the rights to seize that vehicle. So if you've spent 150,000 buying a second-hand Toyota Corolla and it's a cloned vehicle, they can take that vehicle and confiscate it because it forms part of criminal evidence. And that has been one of the huge problems that has been happening in South Africa lately, and unsuspecting people are caught up in the crossfire. Now, am I saying that they should allow the people to keep the cars since they didn't know? That's not what I'm saying, because essentially that car has to be restored to the original owner if possible, and it shouldn't be allowed to go on the scene. But obviously criminals are not going to pay you back your money. So what's important is for us to really be careful on the cars that we are buying, using the service providers that are available to help us with it, and to also be very, very, very questionable, like question everything, be suspicious of everything, so that we can get to the bottom of that. So here's how South Africa is fighting it. They are trying, but sometimes it's not enough, but I think we're getting deeper into it. So since September 2012, they introduced a concept called microdotting. So microdotting is a process where dots are placed on the engine bay, like unique dots. So these are like unique identifiers, essentially fingerprints all over the engine bay, so that, let's say, if somebody suspects a vehicle, they can just check those processes. But there haven't been an integrated system where you can pull out a phone or something to check for those dots. It's a tedious process that takes a long time, but that is required if you want a police clearance. But the measures are there. The problem is just the corruption, as we know that traffic police and the traffic department themselves are very corrupt, and that's how you can slip through the cracks even in these sort of solutions that they are trying to provide for the public. Microdotting, however, is a good solution to fixing these things if done properly, because they are able to use a magnifying glass to be able to see the 10,000 dots, and they've got messages encrypted in them, so they can be, if they are trained, they can be able to scan it and find out if the vehicle matches with the VIN number that is registered. So that is all for today, guys. If you liked it, please subscribe. It's a new channel and we're trying to push and grow as much as possible. If you want to know something else, if you'd like for me to make another video, comment it down below, and subscribe, guys, so that we can grow. Share it to our friends who might find this interesting. Until next time, let's go.